All right. What's up, everybody? This is Electroman, and I'm making a video about hopefully helping a few of you out there that need some assistance with this technique in Melee. But bear with me because it's my first time doing this kind of video. This is actually my second take of this video because my capture device just, I don't know, stopped working. But anyway, today I'm making a video about shield dropping. So to give some context, in the years that I've improved at this game and seen other people improve at it, from various different levels, one of the most important advanced techniques that I see people mess up is shield dropping. It's not unique to any one player base. I've seen it from plenty of different players, and it's funny because over COVID, I was kind of known to help people, learn how to shield drop. People that just didn't know how to, I would just always teach them how, and I think it's it's a technique that I think isn't taught in the best way. There's lots of different methodologies out there, and there isn't really like I don't know. It's a rant for another day, but I think there's tons of techniques in this game that are not taught well. And so, oh, and also my mic kind of sucks, so bear with me on that end as well. Um, but yeah, so I'm just kind of gonna get into it. This is gonna be basically like a tutorial, a guide, giving some brief history on shield dropping, and yeah, that's pretty much it. First, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna showcase this with Fox. Shield dropping is actually it's the same with every single character. So it doesn't matter what main you play. What's your main? This video is gonna be helpful for you. The one I don't want to say exception, but the one character that it is slightly different for Yoshi, and that's not has nothing to do with shield drop, and it has everything to do with how Yoshi's shield properties work. So Yoshi actually incurs no shield stun. And other, if you guys can recall, when something hits your shield, you incur shield stun, and so you can't like immediately attack at a shield or something or roll. You have to wait until the shield stun ends, and then you can, do whatever you want. Yoshi incurs no shield stun, so he can do things frame one. Now, his shield isn't the greatest because he can't jump out of it, but when he's shield dropping on the platform, it makes it incredibly dangerous to attack him on the platform because he can shield drop immediately. So that's the only real slight difference, I think. But really, the method is the exact same, and any character can use shield dropping, and any main will get use out of this video. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to show this with Fox because of my main. But again, you can do it anything.
Captain Falcon, Mark.
So let's go to Battlefield. Alright, I'm going to put Mark right here. So first, I want to go over the brief history of shield dropping. So shield dropping was a technique that I mean, people have known about for a while, but it really didn't start getting super popularized until like 2014, 2015. When people started they had various different mods on their controllers to make it easier to shield drop. UCF would come out just a few years after that, which would make it consistent for everybody, for most people, most controllers. And ever since then, it's blown up. It's like easily the biggest change that you'll notice between like Melee now and Melee a decade ago. The defense that comes from shield dropping is just so immense, and it cannot be understated how important it is to know. But we're kind of going to get into those like later on, like why it's really useful. What does it actually look like? Well, it's pretty simple actually. When you're in shield, you just drop. So shield and then drop. Shield, drop. Shield, drop. This is different from, like a normal drop, right? Or an Isaiah drop or something, right? Because you can do it from a shield. So you can do it from like a counter. It's like basically it means that you can protect yourself and then counterattack out of it, which is like the most useful part, I would say, about it. Now, how do you actually perform it? So, there's tons of different methods, different names that people have given them, but the main way I'm going to describe it is that, well, first let's actually talk about some of the two main issues I see with people who try to mess up with shield dropping. The first issue I see is that people try and shield drop from a neutral position. So if you look at shield right now, obviously you can point your shield and aim your shield in a lot of different ways. But this is just neutral shield, where your character is just, it's neutral, the shield is protecting most of your body. This is a neutral shield. People will try and shield drop from this position. Now, the problem with this is that in order to shield drop, you have to do a very, very slow and tight input. Imagine, when you're up tilting or something, right? The way we're taught is that you want to slightly, at least in melee, so that you don't like jump or something, right? You do like a very slight input upwards, like halfway or something, in a slow, very slow way, and then you hit A and you get up tilt. Think about that motion, but downwards. That's how you shield drop from neutral position. Now, obviously, this is better than not having shield drop at all, I would say, but it's still, see, even there I messed up, like, it still takes some setup. Like, you have to go slightly slower, and if you mess up like there, you spot dodge or something. And that's one of the biggest issues that I see that people mess up with shield dropping. The other thing that I'll see people do is if they're trying to do a shield drop, the actual way to do it, which is going from one notch to the left or right, like that, and then moving it one notch down. That's the way I'm gonna actually teach y'all. The way that people will do it is they'll go from neutral shield and then move their shield to the right or the left, and then go one notch down, right? So the problem with that is that you have to do the same kind of input that you were doing for the downward shield drop, only to the left or right now. And if you mess up, you get a roll. So it takes some setup to do it this way too. But it is, in my opinion, better than the first way. So both of these ways, even though there is like a better one, quote unquote, both of them kind of suck. They're not great. So how are you actually supposed to do it? So I already mentioned it, but the way that you want to shield drop is, whether you want to call it the axe method or the sung method, whatever, you go from the leftmost or the rightmost notch, and then you just move it one notch down. So if you look at your controller, you'll see that there's like notches around the gray stick. They're like little, I don't even know what to call them, but it's a, pretty sure this is an octagon. There's 8 sides, right? So, yeah, there's 8 sides. I'm just making sure I know my math. So you can basically go from the leftmost or the rightmost notch and then down when you're in shield, and you'll get it, go down one notch and you'll get it every time, at least with UCF on most controllers. So the two main ways to set this up is, well, the most useful way to do it, or not the most useful way, but one of two most useful ways to set it up is doing it from a dash stance. So you'll see this very, very, very often. See that? How I shield drop from a dash stance. This is really useful because you can pretty much like defend yourself on a platform, and then at any moment, boom, shield drop aerial. So how do you do this? Well, you do it by, while you're dashing, you continue to hold forward in your dash and shield. So it'll look like this. And you see how Fox is holding his shield slightly forward? Compare this to the neutral shield from earlier. That's a neutral shield. This is a slightly forward shield. And you do it from just dashing and holding the direction, continuing to hold it in shield. What people will mess up here on is that they'll do dash, 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 shield, and then not continue to hold the direction, and it'll look like this. But the problem is, this gets back into that second situation from earlier, where now, in order for you to shield drop, you have to go slightly forward and then go one notch down. But that takes extra setup, and if you mess up, you get a roll. Whereas instead, during a dash dance, if you just hold shield and forward, you can do that. Boom. Hold shield and forward, one notch down. Hold shield and forward, one notch down. It's that simple. And this alone will change so much for everybody that watches this video that doesn't know how to do this. It'll make your defense so much better because you can be defensive / slightly aggressive on the platform, and then just at any moment, just get off it with this technique. Now that's one of the main ways to do the shield drop using this method where you go from the leftmost or rightmost notch and then go one notch down. The other way is to do it by buffering the forward input. So what does that mean? Okay, so when you think about buffering in Melee, obviously there aren't many moves that we can buffer, and the buffer window is, I think, non-existent, if not, whatever. Not very, it's very, very small, if not minuscule. But there's a couple things that you can effectively buffer, right? One of those things is shield. So, for instance, if I'm Fox and I do an up smash, right? If I hold shield in the middle of in the end lag or at any point during the up smash animation, I'm gonna shield out immediately as the move ends. Shield is frame 1, which helps and it makes it really good. But basically, during any up smash, any down smash, any forward smash, even a taunt, if I just hold shield, as soon as that move ends, the shield will come out. So it's not really a buffer as much as it is just holding it, but either way, I'm just gonna say buffer for ease of use, but you're essentially buffering the shield input after the end leg of a move. But this alone doesn't actually help us because this puts us in that second scenario from before, which is now you're in neutral shield, and in order to go to the notch, you have to do this slight forward, right? So in addition to buffering the shield, you also buffer the forward input. So this is what it looks like if you buffer the forward input and buffer shield during an up smash. You see that? That's so much different, so different than just doing a neutral shield. And you can do this from anything. You can do this from a taunt. Hold the forward and shield, and boom, look at what Fox looks like. And now you can do taunt into shield drop. It's that simple. So what is the real benefit of this? The real benefit is you can do it out of an aerial. So if you do, like, let's say I do a nair, you can buffer the shield and the forward input from a nair. So you can do something like, this is how you see all the best players do like really fancy platform movement. They'll do like back air, they'll do like nair, back air, or like nair drill. Boom. And they can link shield like aerials into other shield dropped aerials by doing this. If you didn't buffer the forward input during the end lag or the animation, you'd have to do it like this. You'd have to do nair, shield, move the shield forward, and then do this down air. See how much slower that is than just doing that? It's so much slower. So essentially all you're doing again is you're buffering the forward input and the shield during the end lag of any move. So those two ways to do this type of shield drop are the main ways that pretty much everything you need to know. First, doing it from a dash dance, where you just, during your dash, you continue to hold the forward input and shield. And you can do it from a dash, like that. Oops. Like that. And the other way, which is doing it during the end lag of a move, where you just do an aerial, hold forward and shield, and then go. And remember, you can do this from forward or back. Like, you don't have to do a forward-facing shield drop. You can also do a backward-facing shield drop. The point is, as long as your gray stick is at the leftmost or rightmost notch, and it can go down one notch, you'll get a shield drop. So you can do back here. Oops, sorry, that was my phone. Let me turn that off. So you can do a back air and then backwards facing shield drop to back air, or you can do a back air forward facing shield drop to fair. So anyway, not to get too much more complex, but that's how you shield drop. That is the best way to do it. I just gave you two different like uses of it. And then just to briefly talk about like why it's so important is that you can do it from, we already talked about it, but like the fact that you can do it from an aerial and link other aerials, or do it from like a defensive sort of aggressive dash dance and then just like leave whenever you want is huge. But also you can do it if somebody's attacking your shield, right? Before, back in the day, if Marth was below you and you were just getting up tilted, you just had to like full hop away or like wave dash away or something. You couldn't do shield drop back here into their face and then like shine and then just like give them a second. That's the problem. You couldn't do that before, but you can with shield drop. So anyway, those are two main ways to do it. I actually also wanted to show this as well. One of the really cool ways of linking the aerials together. I don't know how to do it first try. It's really hard because I'm not a Falco player, and I don't really practice this that often, but you can do stuff like this. This is like the mango stuff. You can do like, hold on, like that. Like that. All you're doing here is you're doing a down air into a shield dropped. You buffer the forward input and shield into a shield drop down air. If you didn't do that, you'd have to do down air, shield, neutral input, move the shield slightly forward, and then do another down air. But like, that's so slow, you can mess up, and it doesn't even link, it doesn't even combo. Whereas this double down air does actually combo if you do it right. So that was the other thing I just wanted to show as well. But that's like everything I wanted to go over. Shield dropping, it's like such an important technique, and if you're not doing it, it's really going to hinder your play because everybody's doing it. So I try to make this video to make it easier for people to learn, just so I don't have to re-explain it every time. But if you have any questions, I'm in tons of Melee Discords. I'm in Melee Online. I'm in all the New England Melee servers. I'm in, or most of them. I'm in the Fox Melee Discord. You can also just add me on Discord, Electroman. And my Twitter is just Electroman_DRAL as well. You can message me on there as well with questions. But probably the people who are going to see this are people that already know me, so it doesn't actually matter. But anyway, that's everything. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And have a great night.